welcome back. Yeah. So we got Danica on top of the waves outside the studio. Yeah. So we're here at Made in Norfolk. Definitely want to follow up with you. You got a lot going on now. Post city council, all of that. So
yeah, retirement.
Retirement, right, right. So yeah, we can just start out. For the newcomers, and I mean you're well known, but who are you? Where are you from?
Yeah. My name is Danica Royster. I live right here in Norfolk, but I am from Chesapeake by way of Portsmouth, Virginia. For those who don't know, I used to be on Norfolk City Council. I represented Super Ward 7 from 2021 to 2024, but still very active in the community, still have the pulse of the people, because I've always had the platform that it doesn't matter if you're elected, you can still make impact regardless of what type of position you're in. And as long as each of us are doing our part and staying in our lane for what the things we're passionate for, we're going to make a change in the city.
For sure. Yeah. So, also on what you kind of experienced in both, like the inside out and outside in, I guess which one would you, take to? I know you said you were kind of taking a little break, but you're not fully stepping away from obviously that service and leadership.
So for me, I'm enjoying doing life on my terms. So when you're elected to serve, sometimes you have to be involved in everything. And with me having a super ward position, that means it was every community, every neighborhood, every initiative. And I also had to learn about different things. So I'm forever grateful for that. But there's certain things that I was, extremely passionate about, stuff that had to do with our youth, mental health, holistic health as well, economic development, supporting Black businesses. Just some of those things I now get to, on the other side of things, hyper focus onto now that it's like, I know what I know, and you can't tell me what I don't know anymore because I was there.
Right.
So it's kind of been a really kind of cool kind of, I guess you should say, cycle to be in on the other side of things, because it's like I've been elected, but even before I was elected, I was still a person and still faced some challenges and barriers. But now I have the knowledge of, okay, this is going to be the best route forward. Still a lot of things that need to get worked out, and a lot of things that need, in my opinion, to change, shift, and be more inclusive of how they're executed. But still, I think the city as a whole is making progress, but there's still some work to be done as well.
Definitely a lot. And, like you were just saying, that God's timing, because we were supposed to run this the other day.
Yes.
And it worked out perfect, and it's all Black owned business. Shout out to Made in Norfolk, is a true staple.
Yep.
Yep, Juneteenth in Norfolk. So,
this is a perfect day. It's sunny
perfect.
outside.
Beautiful. It's hot, but yeah, it's
hot.
A beautiful day.
I mean, it's a beautiful day. I get to be here at my home away store, one of 2 locations, might I add.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's everything happened for God, for a reason, and God's timing is always the right timing.
Yeah, for sure. And I do kind of want to speak a little bit to that about the whole, purpose behind Juneteenth, and just establishing that, true freedom, but with that is some depth to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know you have a very sound foundation in, financial literacy, and, you're big on that. So, what part of that, should be, I guess, focused on and celebrated as we celebrate Juneteenth?
Well, I think one of the things that we have to focus on is also the things that we are taking for granted now, and we have to kind of pay homage to the people who laid the foundation for us to get here. Because you got to think about it, for years, century, we were just considered to be property. Now we're in a position where we are buying back the block. We're owning our own businesses. We're employing our own people.
Property with power.
Exactly. And I think for us specifically, we can't just take that for granted, because it could very well slip back into, y'all stay on your side, we stay on our side, but we always have to support our own. To me, that's critical. And that's something I'm always proud about. As a Black business owner myself, I unapologetically serve Black people. Not to say I don't have any white clients or somebody of another ethnic group, but I know that my people deserve me, and I feel that I can be prosperous in my community. But the way that we continue to build and grow Black businesses is by supporting them. I had breakfast this morning at E. Palmer's in Berkeley. I was like, I want some grits. I don't feel like cooking this morning. Mm-hmm. I had a little time on my hand. I said, so yeah, someone might say, oh, you could go here. And I was like, but I'm going to go over there when I can go over here and know that my dollar is going into a food place where I'm appreciated, I'm seen. Walk in, the owner's there, happy to see me, and I feel a sense of community. And there's something empowering about that. And you also feel good about it yourself when it's just like, okay, this is, you know, a reinvestment of our dollars. Because we always have those conversations about reinvesting dollars, you know, building our network and our net worth and things of that nature. Well, the way we do that is by doing business with our own. Not to say nothing's wrong with anybody else, but they gonna get theirs. Let's support our own folks. And whether it costs a couple dollars more or whatever, skip the Starbucks that morning and reinvest in your community because it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
You get sad when a business or something closes or this, that, and the third. But the question was, well, did the community back it up? Like, were y'all there? Or no, y'all were there once you found out that they were struggling. And that's what it shouldn't be. It should always be a continuum of us supporting and also promoting that this is the way to go. And this is something that if you decide to go down a route of entrepreneurship, at least at a minimum, you know the community's got your back.
For sure. Yeah, and that sense of community is super important. Mm-hmm. But I do want to go into what is your Black-owned business? What do you do?
So First Genesis of Virginia, we're a Black-owned, family-owned financial planning firm located on Church Street. So what we focus on is holistic financial planning. So that's everything from like your insurance to retirement planning to college saving for the kiddies to long-term care planning. But also I would say the biggest part of our platform is investing and wealth management. Because we have the conversations about like the racial wealth gap, but I always tell people don't focus on the gap from the position of like what's happening in the nation. What are you doing just for your family? Because if you can make an impact for just your family, you're doing your part. Because sometimes people feel like I got to try to tackle it all. Well, how about you just handle your little section of the world, and then hopefully you're educating your kids, you're educating the people around you. And what we do is serve as a caveat for once you're in a position where it's like, I need to buy insurance, or I want to set up a retirement account, or I want to invest, or I need to set up this account for my kids for college. We want to be the source for our community where, okay, that's a Black-owned firm that, you know, is unapologetic about it and also understands my culture as well and respects me as a person.
Super solid. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you all invest? For the people are pretty much to just do the planning and these are kind of do recommendations?
We do both.
Okay.
So we have some people who are like do-it-yourselfers and they might want to say like, hey, can you give me some, you know, options based off of my risk tolerance and what I want to do, and we'll give them those. And they might have their own platforms where they want to execute it. And then we have some people like, I want a one-stop shop. So I want to be able to come to you. You did all this for me, and I get to place the business with you as well. Gotcha.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, you know, with that being said, you know, also with city council, you don't have to work under certain rules and regulations. You know, you can, like you say, do your own thing. So
yeah, when I was on council, so I had to take a pause a little bit on my business. I kept my existing clients, but it was very difficult for me to bring on new people. Just from the sense of when I'm at an event, normally in my civilian life, I'm networking to get clients. Mm-hmm. I never wanted it to be perceived like she's using council to grow her business and she's like networking and prospecting at like a community event. So I had to always tout that line. But now that I am no longer there, I can freely kind of share a little bit more about what I do and also prospect people and tell them, well, hey, I can be here to help you. So I wouldn't say there was any legality issues with that. From the position of as a registered person, I have compliance. So I even had to like get permission to run for office. Mm-hmm. And then it was like a distinct thing that like, even when I ran for office, people who were my existing clients, they couldn't donate to my like campaign from like out of any of their accounts, as well as the fact that anything that was to come up in the city, let's say for example, if the city wanted to shop their benefit plan, I couldn't submit a proposal because that would be a conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. And it definitely, like you say, kind of crosses that boundary, which is important for people to know.
Yeah.
Putting themselves in certain positions.
Exactly. Because some people think that like, oh, I'm going to get here, I'm going to get this, get that. Well, if that's the route you want to go, you need to know what's legal and what's illegal. Mm-hmm. And personally, I don't look good in stripes, orange, gray, and as an extroverted person, I don't do well being in solitary. Mm-hmm. So that wouldn't work out for me. But I do tell people, you know, a bigger thing is running for office for the right reasons. And I have to say, unfortunately, you have some people who don't. Mm-hmm. Or you have some people who are being pushed into running for other reasons. And for me, I just wanted to help my people and I just wanted to help my community. So a lot of persons would say, well, like, how could you step away? Like, you were at the top, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, well, when I applied for the appointment, I prayed on it. And God said, do it. When I ran for office, prayed on it. God said, go for it. When I prayed about seeking re-election, God said, my assignment in the season is complete. I tried to push it out, like, maybe it's wrong. But then I kept getting all of these signs of things that were like, yeah, this chapter for now is over. But I would have to say that I felt like I was really impactful while I was there. My hope was to not only make change, but to inspire the next generation of leaders, to show people like, you can do this and it can look this way. Like, to learn that, oh, I'm the first council person who had braids, the first council person who showed up in like sneakers, like J's and Air Maxes. I'm the first one who will wear leggings to an event. I'm like, that is crazy that like, even in this scope of what like leadership looks like, there's still like this aura that it has to be business. Where I always tell people, no, you need to be connected to community, because we have a sense of telling what's real and what's fake. So when people show up, it's like, nah, you're giving, all I care about is cutting ribbons, kissing babies, and taking pictures. But what did you get done? And in my last council meeting, when I made my speech, I actually shared, it wasn't what I got done, it's what we got done together. Because essentially, I couldn't have got any of the stuff, any of the projects, any of the initiatives off the ground if it had not been for either the support of the community or the community's not giving me knowledge about a deficit of something that needed to be done and allowing me to use my platform to push it forward.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned, that representation definitely matters, because people not going to respond to people they don't, one, trust.
Exactly.
Or like you say, just, it's like we look like we don't got the same interests, or how you're coming off, you got to be authentic. So
exactly. And it doesn't even like, just be yourself. Like, I always tell people, like, we already have this sense of politicians. Like, I need an elected official. I need someone who was elected to care, like a public servant. I remember like going to events, like when we did the Nighthawk basketball, and I would be every weekend at either, or all three, Huntersville, Southside, Youngs Park, all in one night, going to different places, going and get the broom from the janitor's closet, because I'm like, hey, this rec center, it's not up to par for what I want the kids to walk into. Running into Little Caesars to go grab 50 pizzas and dropping them off, going to Walmart, picking up water. I remember one game, we were out Huntersville, and one of the guys fell, and being a ball girl back in the day, used to have to put the sweat off the floor. I literally went and got the thing and started getting the sweat up. Somebody was just like, you're the council person, you're not supposed to be doing that. I'm like, if not, who? Like, it's something that needed to get done. So a part of being in service is being in service in every capacity. Passing out food, taking kids to the bathroom, helping somebody out, letting a child use my phone to call their mom. That's what community is about. And you think about like how we grew up, that's what we had. So when people say we want to get back to those things, I think a lot of that also has to do with us humbling ourselves to be in positions of service versus of being in positions for social media.
Yeah, for sure.
Because a lot of people do stuff for likes. And then as soon as that's right, and then as soon as that's over, it's like, all right, bye. And it's like, you came here for the Thanksgiving to take a picture, but you wouldn't serve your community? Make it make sense.
Yeah. So also, just dealing with council, the community, that can be a lot, especially over the years that add up.
Yeah.
So I do want to get into the mental health aspect and like, how you kind of decompressed, once you decided to take that break and transition back into, putting more into you.
Yeah. So for me, it was a lot. For those who don't know, I openly share it. I have my own mental health challenges. I've been diagnosed with ADD, anxiety, and I deal with depression also. So it was a lot, and not from a position of just I would say the stress of the work, but hard work is hard work. And if you're leading from a position where everything I'm doing is coming from my heart, that means you're vested in it. So when a headline happens, it hurts to hear about someone losing their life. It hurts to hear about somebody being displaced if you are someone who cares. And as somebody who's an empath and takes on so much, I think that led to me being successful, but I also think that I wasn't prioritizing myself in that, and I found myself personally dealing with more of my mental health challenges than I had encountered before. So a part of this was also a mental health break and taking some time to take care of me, which I advocate for other people, but I needed to do it for myself. Hence, the surviving through mental health event I had last year that's coming back this year. Because literally last year I was a little bit in survivor mode, and I did feel liberated though when I got an opportunity to share and having my community kind of wrap their arms around me and say, "Dee, we got you," and like, it's okay, you can't make this. It's okay. Stop trying to be at a million places, because people used to be like, "I see you everywhere," and that's a level of expectation, but also it was a level of expectation that for myself I couldn't always accomplish.
Right. Yeah, and also, with that being said, the event from last year and putting your own self out there, I mean, is important because people kind of try to see perfection in, I guess, leadership or people in position like counsel or whatever. But when you're opening up, it allows others to do the same. So
exactly.
I want you to tell more a little bit about the detail of this year, the surviving through mental health and at the Chrysler.
For sure. So last year we were at the Addicts. We were expecting like 125, but people showed out in the rain. And anything about us in rain is like
I'm gonna have to take a rain check.
All right, I have to take a rain check. Yeah. The people checked in. We had 250 people show up. It was phenomenal. So this year we're back July 17th. The month of July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So myself, along with Shanice Hernandez with Project Org, along with the Norfolk Community Service Board, we're going to be back this year, July 17th, 5 p.m. at Chrysler Hall. Same similar format. We'll have, the mayor is going to come out and speak and say a few words, which shout out to Kenny, Mayor Alexander. He actually declared last year as July as Minority Mental Health Awareness Month in the city of Norfolk. So he's going to speak on that again, and then we're going to roll right into our panels. So our panels this year, the theme for this year is Family Matters. We're going to talk about generational mental health. So everything going from the position of like what I encounter, but also having an opportunity for some of our elders in our community to speak on that, and even our some of our younger people, because they got it bad. There's a lot more stuff that they go through that my generation dealt with than the other generation. And then also being inclusive in the word minority, we're having some persons that represent the Latinx community, as well as some persons who represent other countries in Africa, because even we have the conversation about mental health, like you have to recognize that, okay, my experience as a Black American is going to probably be different than my Hispanic brother and sister or my Nigerian brother and sister. So we wanted to also make it a cultural conversation too. And then we'll also have some professionals, some people who are in private practice. And the biggest thing we're proud of is, once again, bringing back the Mental Health Resource Fair, where we'll have a lot of different providers, community providers, and teaming up with a Black-owned business to also be able to serve our community from the positions of subsistence, because it is from 5 to 9, so we recognize that's dinner hours. So we wanted to make sure we are also able to support a Black business with that as well, and I believe that's going to be poor and stay full. Nice. So they locked in.
Okay, yeah. Super dope. Yeah, so what else is, I guess, beyond that next for you in terms of, you still kind of in your, doing my own thing, figuring it out phase, and you'll know when or do you have some things planned out in terms of, beyond that event?
Well, beyond that event, we're still going to start doing some smaller pop-ups in the community. Some of our community partners, they'll have an opportunity at the event to share a little bit more as relates to how we're supporting the initiative, so that way the conversation doesn't have to stop that day. But then even personally for myself, I'm just supporting other opportunities and other people who are in positions where I know that I can leverage my insight, knowledge, as well as some of my relationships to help grow them. That's why I told somebody the other day, one of the things I'm most proud about is being able to put people in a position to succeed. Because I feel that a lot of us, they just need a little direction. And also, how do I get tied in with resources? So for me, I'm gonna be, I guess, I'll just be the plug for a little while.
Ain't no wrong with that.
You know, until somebody else can be the outlet. So for right now, I'm gonna be the plug, and that's fine with me. At the end of the day, I just want to see my people win, and I just want to see the city win. And I think a part of that comes with critique, but also it comes with like, I critiqued you, but now I'm ready to get to work to make things change. And a part of that, beyond just doing the work, is making sure we're electing people who are working in our best interest, because essentially that matters. I would say my time on council, something that resonated with me the most in my last council meeting was getting an opportunity to walk in to the chambers, standing room only, and being able to look across the room over the span of 4 years of impact, but people who supported me because my intentions were pure, and because it was never about my resume, it was about getting results. And I think we need to hold our leaders to the same thing. You're not just going to run for office and get in a seat and just stay there for 30 years and haven't done anything. You need to show and prove. And if you don't, then it's time for new energy and new leadership, because if we're saying we're going to move up as a city, sometimes that means some people need to move out the way.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, I enjoy being somebody who created a shift in thinking, created a shift in dynamics of what something can look like, and also bringing my ideas to the table, and bringing people to the table who never thought that they'd have an opportunity to even sit there. And I think that's what's important, and that's how you as a city evolve and you grow. Like, we got to get out of this, we've been doing it this way for 30, 40, 50 years. We got to get out of this thing of just supporting people because you just know them versus the person is not the best fit for the job.
Right.
Because essentially, we deserve leadership that also has vision,
mm-hmm.
versus leadership that's just going to be a rubber stamp and go with everything because it will just make it easy.
Yeah, trailblazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need, we always marvel at somebody who's doing something different. And when I ran for office, you're right, I had no political experience, but I had experience in being a leader. Not only in my workplace, but also in other nonprofit things I did, or other just initiatives that I just wanted to be about. And essentially, those are the next people who we need to be supporting. So if you see somebody who has that about them, let's get around them, let's help them, and also let's help elevate them so they're in a position not just to run, but to win.
Yeah.
Because that's what needs to happen too.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how can the people get in contact with you? They want to connect or, ask you more questions, get involved with the events and stuff.
Okay. So on Instagram, I'm at Danica_Royster. On Facebook, Danica Royster. To connect to my business, that's First Genesis of Virginia on Facebook. We're also on YouTube, First Genesis of Virginia. Online, www.firstgenesisva.com.
Right. All right. We appreciate you on this beautiful Juneteenth. I think I'll hold you up from this beautiful day outside.
Yeah, I'm trying to find me a burnt hot dog or a fried fish sandwich.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want.
Some cookouts going on.
I just need it doesn't even have to be a whole cookout. It could just be a situation of some real low key fellowship, play a little Uno or something like
Grab
that.
a plate.
Yeah, I need an ump with the grill shoes on.
Yeah.
And his t-shirt with his towel over his shoulder. That's all I need for today. But at the end of the day, I just told somebody the other day, I just love being Black. There's nothing better in the world. I was like, that's why people hate on us so much. Because being Black is lit.
Yeah.
And so I have to give you your shout out because every time you hit me up, it's always amazing. You come from a legacy of amazing people as well. I don't know if you ever turn the camera around on yourself to tell your story.
That'll be coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. Get from behind the camera, behind the scenes. But shout out to you for also being a caveat and creating a platform for our stories to be heard, and for you to tell our stories in such a way that sometimes it doesn't get the attention that they deserve. So I appreciate you for all that you do as well.
For sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. You know. And I'm going to definitely tell that story eventually.
Yeah.
But,
hey, look, we'll be front and center.
Yeah. I love the storytelling aspect and allowing others and, really putting a true spotlight, coming from the horse's mouth.
Exactly.
All these people got stories to share. So.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, this ain't going to be the last time we sit down. You know that.
Oh, I know. I have different hair again, too.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you again.
Yeah.
And, till next time, we got Danica Royster. And we out.